All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed. Those gentlemen join us next to talk about 2023 general elections, that of the presidency, and then the Adamawa governorship elections. We'll start here in our studios in Lagos. Dr. Umar Ado, the governorship candidate of the SDP for Adamawa, joins us this morning as well. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Just to say that we're in Abuja, not Lagos.
Okay. I have to find a way to drill that in, but you know how it goes, some of these things. But yes, you will also, Dr. Ado, thank you for coming on. But in terms of how your preparation is going, how would you describe it? How's your campaign going on at the moment?
Our campaign is going on fine. We've been a small political party, they say.
Yeah.
We started afresh. We are able to establish our party executive at the ward level, at the local government level, and at the state level. Then we came in and established the electoral colleges for the state and then national electoral college. Then we were able to do our nominations. We fill in all our candidates, the 25 members House of Assembly, the 8 House of Representatives, the 3 senators, and then the governorship candidate. Then finally, we are able to submit our agents in the 4,104 polling units in the state. We submitted 4,102. We are unable to submit only two agents on account that their pictures they didn't get it. So we sacrificed only 2. So this tells you that we are ready. We are ready for the election. We have done all the statutory needs. Now it's just to appeal to the people. And already Adamawa people are persuaded. There are 3 steps to winning an election. 1, you persuade the people. 2, you put in the structure, and then 3, you mobilize. We have been able to persuade the people. We have put in the structure, as I just said, and then the next thing is just mobilizing them for the election. So we are ready.
I know you say that you get into this with the mindset of winning.
Yeah.
But you know that there is an incumbent party who's going for 2nd term. It means they've already been, the developed muscle haven't won the 1st term. So you think it's going to be a stroll in the park, if at all you're going to defeat the sitting government?
Yeah, when you are contesting against an incumbent in a failed system, if the system has failed and you are contesting against the incumbent, but the system has failed and you are contesting against the incumbent, incumbency is no longer an advantage. Incumbency is actually a disadvantage. And in Adamawa State, we have demonstrated that as we are today, the incumbent is all over the town,
so
being that.
Between the SDP, because many think that other people have what they call outside chance. So between the SDP and the NNPP, who would you say is going to best?
NNPP has not even put in its structure complete across the state. As we speak now, several NNPP executives have moved to SDP.
Like who? Which of the executives?
Including local governments. In many local governments, in Shellen, in Yola South, in Yola, virtually all the local governments have moved, to the SDP.
That's local government executive. What about state executives?
The state executive, not really, not many, but local government executive, ward executive, so many have moved out.
Okay, let's bring him Mr. Phineas Elisha. He is the state chairman of NNPP. He joins us virtually from Yola. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Tamale.
I know you must have heard Dr. Ado say some of your state executives at the local level are moving to the SDP. How is that happening under your watch?
Omar Ardo, the gubernatorial candidate of the SDP. I think my good friend, Dr. As usual, is only dreaming. I think he's not aware of what is happening in the NNPP. The NNPP is the fastest growing party in not only Nigeria, but I would even say in Africa. And that the presidential candidate, His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Engineer Tabi Musa Konkoso, PhD, FNSE, has already put in place what is required for this party to move forward. And that I'm not aware of any of my executives moving to the SDP. And that I would like to tell Dr. Omar Ardo, as usual, we are fully aware we've been together in the PDP before, and that we have all the 226 ward executives in place. We have all the 21 local government executives in place. We have the state executive. And that what he's saying we have just completed, the SDP had been there for a long time, but it's achieved nothing in this particular state. And for the NNPP to come on board, though registered on the 3rd of December 2002, but you know, after the merger with the national movement, we adopted the name of NNPP. And in Adamawa, we have been able to put the structure from the local government up to the state level. We also have the, you know, Northeast Executive. We also have the National Executive. And that is surprising that within a period of just 6 months, we have been able to fill in our candidates for all the 25 seats of the House of Assembly in the state. We have 8 you know, candidates for the House of Reps, which is available in Adamawa State. We also have a gubernatorial candidate. And that he is talking about the you know, polling agents. We filled in, we have already submitted to INEC 4,104 you know, polling agents, 3 for each unit.
Okay, Mr. Elisha. Now, sorry to jump in there. So why is it that we haven't seen your governorship candidate campaigning, holding rallies? Many say, look, he's almost, they say he's missing in action. Where is he? Why is he not campaigning?
I disagree with you completely, because we flag off our campaign in Kenya local government. Thereafter, we were at Tongo, Jada, Mayabalwa. We posed, and that on the 9th, we'll be going to Shelen, Guyuk. Then we have Numan, Dem Salamurde. Thereafter, we'll move to the northern zone, and then we'll do the all 5 local governments, starting from Madagali, Michika, moving on, moving south, moving north. And then we move back to the center, you know, so that we can also campaign in the 7 local government areas. And we'll end up our campaign on the 23rd, you know, by closing at Yola South. My gubernatorial candidate is up and doing. We don't have to be shouting. We don't have to send to Dr. Omar Ardo our campaign itinerary or for him to be convinced. We only want the grassroots to know that we are around, and we are very much around in Adamawa State.
Okay. Let me start with you, Dr. Ardo. For some people, they'll say that the PDP is a bit complicated. The presidential candidate of the PDP hails from Adamawa State. So you do not just have the governorship candidate who is an incumbent, I mean, the governorship candidate of the PDP to contend with. You also have a national figure, because it will be very important to the presidential candidate to win his home state, also as a mark to prove his popularity. So what precisely are you going to be telling the people of Adamawa State that it is okay, because you have a presidential candidate as well, and the presidential elections are before the local government, beg your pardon, the state elections. And oftentimes there's usually, well, I say, is it a
bandwagon?
Yeah, a bandwagon effect, that's the word I'm looking for. A bandwagon effect that could happen, assuming the presidential candidate of the PDP were to take it before the polls of the governorship elections.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if the presidential candidate of PDP wins the presidential election, it could be a little bit tricky for us, because he will by then come, you know, with all the apparatus of the federal government behind him, and because people usually...
He wouldn't have been sworn in yet.
No, he wouldn't, but he is, of course, the declared president-elect. As a president-elect, you know, they all move, you know, to him. And because people usually want to associate themselves with the winner, they are most likely going to probably associate themselves with the presidential candidate and try to see that they win, you know, the state as well. But there's a peculiar situation in Adamawa State. the governor of the state is highly disfavored by the general public, highly. And although the presidential candidate has said that they should vote for the governor, but the enthusiasm in his saying so is even less. He is afraid that it could also affect him at the presidential election. So it's a very narrow age to meander. So he will have to be a little bit circumspect in pushing for the governorship candidate, for the simple fact that the governorship candidate has virtually lost favor with the electorate.
What precisely would you say that the governorship candidate of the PDP, who was the incumbent governor right now, what has he done, in your own opinion, for him to have lost the backing of the people?
Actually, it is what has he not done. He has not done virtually all the things that he promised people that he was going to do. He has gone into agreement in the desperate need to win the 2019 election. He went into all sorts of agreement with people, and he did not fulfill these agreements. So people feel that he betrayed them, and so then he came also trying to entrench, politics of divisions here and there. And, generally, Adamawa State, if you ask your correspondent in that state, they will tell you that the government completely has lost favor with the people.
Adamawa State is a very interesting state. I mean, on the political scene, we're going to be seeing, it'll be very interesting to watch how the elections eventually pan out, because amongst all of the political parties, I think it's only Adamawa State where we're seeing a woman holding the ticket of a major political party. Senator Binani is the governorship candidate of the APC. So it'll be very interesting to watch, because there are also concerns. The wife of the president is also from Adamawa State, and we understand she's also very interested in the elections in Adamawa State. But looking at the socio-economic history of recent socio-economic history of the state, Adamawa has also suffered the consequences of terrorism. So there is a post-conflict economy that it is dealing with. And some people will say that for that, there needs to be some stability, some political stability in Adamawa State to enable it to recover. How would you say that, the political elite in Adamawa are reaching a consensus on the need for them to come together and build the stability which should help the economy of Adamawa recover?
Yeah, you see, if the state government, now and the previous ones, if they had taken a position in resolving the economic problem caused by insurgency, then the need for the stability would obviously be there. But where they did not, the need for change is therefore more, and they did not. You know what? Boko Haram invaded Adamawa, northern Adamawa, took over about 6 local government areas. For 48 days, Boko Haram was the government of the day. During the invasion, they killed so many people, they destroyed so many people, they destroyed houses, churches, every property they did. Now, you would have expected that the regime, when the military came and repelled them, and then the government took over, you would have expected that the regime that took over will now at least set up a committee that will assess the level of destruction of life and property, and then see what it can do to resolve it. Can you believe it, that not the PDP regime of Balangilari, not the APC regime of Bindo, and not the current PDP regime did anything about it? They did not set any committee to go on it. They did not compensate anybody. People were killed, houses destroyed. The lucky ones that survived run and then return, and then they made their houses destroyed, and nobody said to them, as they say in Hausa, kachikanka. Nobody said a word to them. So what could possibly happen to a people for a government to come to the aid of the people more than what happened to us in Adamawa State by the Boko Haram invasion? So the Boko Haram invasion and the lack of empathy from the government in resolving and helping the people is a major deterrent against them.
Is that really a true picture that you're painting? Because we still have I know that we still have recent reports of the state government giving people building materials to help rebuild their communities and their villages. in the wake of the conflict in Adamawa State?
There is no such thing. Absolutely, there is no such thing. Whatever they are doing it haphazardly. Nobody. I have been interacting with the people. I went to all the local governments there. I saw them. And what? Look, there was a woman whose mother was killed, and her head, the head of the mother cut off, and gave to the woman to hold for 4 days before the Boko Haram guys gave her permission to go and, bury that woman. Bury her mother. There are so many gory stories of this nature.
So you're blaming the state governments.
Pardon?
You're blaming the state government for not doing enough.
Of course, not doing enough, for doing nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right.
There are more.
Yeah, so Mr. Phineas, you were secretary of the PDP when Baba Mimongoro was governor, and you were quite influential, we understand. Your candidate, the governorship candidate in the state, was also deputy governor under Balanglari. So there are those who ask questions of capacity. What is it that he's done? Why do you think he's strong enough? Has he demonstrated any capacity whatsoever to make him want to vie for that #1 seat?
Of course.
Okay, I think your audio, the sound is coming in broken. Okay, I think it's a little better. Go ahead, let's see if it's better now.
Secretary of the PDP and about Mangoro, the issues my good friend has been talking about did not happen in Adamawa until just about the end of that particular regime, and that Baba Mangoro put in motion things that will solve that one as well. And during the Balanglari era, I witnessed. Then when he came in, we have about 7 of the local governments we had all occupied by insurgents. But he took steps, and with his own chief of staff, then I was the director of public affairs, and that the insurgents were flushed out of the state. I think he has done his best to get that one, because I was very much involved. You talk about capacity of my governor. He was the deputy governor to Balajem Gilari Barista, His Excellency, and that in his capacity as deputy governor, you cannot measure what he's supposed to do as the governor, because he was serving under His Excellency Balajem Gilari. But he has all the capacity he requires, because in the first place, he was a member of the House of Reps for 4 years in this particular state, then a deputy governor, and that you're very conversant with what is happening in Yola, being in the Royal House of the Lamido Fombina, the Grand Patron of the Florida International. So he's very capable of trying to handle. And also, you look at it, not only the state, in NNPP, we operate from top to bottom and from bottom to the top. The presidential candidates has already put up his own pledge. The manifesto is single. We have identified the problems that are bedeviling this nation. And that if you look at we have been so divided more than ever before. The economy is down, the educational sector, the agriculture, and all of you. Now, under the leadership of the presidential candidate, who we hope, inshallah, will win the election, because the 2023 election has to do with who, and not this, rhetoric, this theoretical, political, position that is being taken by my friend, Dr. Omar Ardo. He has already put up in place what is supposed to be done by him and all the other governors. Where is that person coming from? Where is he now? Where is he heading to? If you look at the presidential candidate that we have, he was there in the civil service for over 17 years. Then he was a governor, Kano State, twice. Then he was a minister of defense. Then a distinguished senator. He was even an ambassador to Darfur, at some point in time. Now, he identified all those problems because of the experience he has acquired, and he put it in place. We have a complete manifesto, which is to be used by each and every governor when elected into office come 2023. Therefore, if you talk about capability, our governor, the gubernatorial candidate, is fully capable of handling this particular state, because we know where we are coming from. We know where we are now, and we know where we are heading to.
All right.
Following the of the president.
We'll come back to that in a bit, but Dr. Ado, the governor is from Adamawa North. for the ethnic nationalities. Senator Benani, Adamawa Central, you, Adamawa South. So where do you think that your strength lies? How do you plan to displace all of those and then clinch it?
Well, my strength lies in the weaknesses of the two political parties. If we agree that this country, and Adamawa State in particular, has failed, the economy has failed, exchange rate, terrible, authority has collapsed, insurgency all over, high cost of living.
Is that what determines how they vote in the states?
Yeah, high cost of living, low means of earning, things are generally bad. Now, we have to put blame on who is responsible. And there are only two political parties that must be held responsible because they are the only two political parties that held sway in this country during this period. That's the PDP and the APC. So, and I have been in the PDP for long, and I have always opposed the PDP, their way of doing things. I took them to court 11 times. That tells you that I did not like the way they are taking the country. And where has it led us? It has led us to a failed state.
Yeah, so where's your strength?
So my strength is the alternative that I have always, given. That look, what you are doing is wrong, and you ought to do it this way. And they refuse to listen. They continue doing the way they are doing, and it led us to this collapse. So people would have no other alternative but to look at the alternative of those of us.
What is going to be different this time? Because, I mean, after the 99, when you were, an SA at the center, you came back to the state. You've always tried to get the ticket in the PDP. You've always tried to get that ticket to contest, and now you have it. And you've always been opposing how the party had been doing things, as you said. So what makes you think anything is different now that you have the ticket?
I have, a platform that we went through the due process and got it. So people see in me hope. And let me tell you, I have gone through the entire length and breadth of this state. Not once, and I mean it, not once, did anybody say to me anything bad, that we will not do you. You are terrible. This, like they do to the incumbent. The incumbent is in his own home state, in his own home local government.
Is it because they think you don't have a chance, so they don't bother?
No, not at all. Because they believe in me. Even on the road, they will come out shouting, go to Adamawa and look and see for yourself. This is the truth. I'm not talking to you abstract. I'm telling you what is on the ground. So she raised the issue. You also raised the issue, of a woman governorship in our state. Yeah, but that whatever, leadership we are going to produce, our democracy must be able to accommodate, our culture, our tradition, and our religion.
Let's bring in our guys in Lagos.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Ado. I'd like you to talk more about, the woman candidate in your state. First of all, is Adamawa ready for a first female governor if she emerges victorious?
Well, I think I'm the wrong person to ask this question because I'll be biased in my answer. But I can tell you that I don't give a woman candidate, especially the candidate that we have, any chance in the state at all.
And it is especially because of that position that I expected you would express that, some people are saying that Adamawa is different when you consider other states in the north having elected, women representatives at the National Assembly level. When you talk about Senator Grace Bent, Senator Benani, who was once at the House of Representatives and Senate, and now the female governorship candidates, which is one reason which they say that she's not a pushover, especially in the politics of Adamawa.
Well, you see, there is a marked difference between what the Hausa call wakilanchi, that is legislation, and that of jagoranchi, which is leadership. A legislator can go to the Legislative Assembly and stay for whole 4 years without uttering a word, and she will still be paid her salary, she will still, be hailed when she goes, and so on and so forth. But you cannot be a governor and then not lead. So the leadership of a woman in a conservative society like ours is going to be a Herculean task.
Right.
I can assure you on that.
We'll be winding down now on this one. Your candidate, the presidential candidate.
Yes.
Does he have any chance whatsoever, given the fact that the incumbents, even the PDP, they have quite some leverage in terms of what to do? How do you rate your chances?
Well, let me not rate the chances of a presidential candidate, but let me rate my presidential candidate. My presidential candidate, 1, he's the youngest among them. 2, he's the most intelligent. 3, he is a prince, in his own hometown, and therefore he has a pedigree. And 4, he has a good grasp of our issues. If you look at his debates across the country, he comes up the best. But being the best doesn't actually give you the victory at the polls. But in terms of suitability, if I am to elect a presidential candidate, if 1 vote will pick a presidential candidate and make it the president of this country, and I am to cast this vote, of course, without any doubt, I'll cast my vote for Adeole because he's by far better than all the presidential candidates in this country.
Would you mind some endorsements for your candidate at the national level if it comes to many quarters?
Endorsement? Of course, well, if they say the whole country endorses him, I will be very happy to. I'll be very, very happy. I need to make things easier
what about
also for me.
Key
in the
political influential figures? You don't want any endorsements from them?
Well, you see, I have taken Adewale to meet myself and President Olusegun Obasanjo. We wanted President Obasanjo to endorse him. Yesterday, he was with President Ibrahim Babangida and so Abdusalam Abubakar. We want them to endorse him. They have not endorsed him. Well, we have seen President Obasanjo had endorsed, the Labour candidates. And people are even criticizing him or even abusing him for endorsing a candidate. For God's sake, why? I've seen APC, I've seen PDP criticizing President Obasanjo for endorsing somebody. Of course, he has the right to endorse who he wants to endorse. And his endorsement, even though it doesn't mean that the candidate is definitely going to win, but that you should give him to it. The problem with our politicians is this. When you are with them, you are the best person on earth. When you are not with them, you are the worst person ever created. Now, this is not the way to do politics.
Mr. Elisha, you heard him. I mean, your principal did also say those endorsements don't matter, but Dr. Ado paints a picture saying, well, if he had suggesting if he had endorsed your principal, you would have approached it and grabbed it and welcomed it with both hands, as a matter of fact.
Let me first correct the impression created by Dr. Umar Ado about a woman governorship in this particular state, issue of religion, conservatism, and the rest. No. Let us correct that impression. That is not Adamawa. The issue is not whether you are a woman or a man. The issue is, can you perform? The feelings here is that the party she represents, or on whose ticket she is, has failed this particular nation. They don't have any leadership. They are still fighting on the top. So as a governor, will that one help matters? So it's not a question of whether she's a woman or a man, no. But the system itself, the party itself, the structure itself, her manifesto, her leadership, even at the state, is also divided. So that will contribute to her failure. So put that one aside. On the issue of endorsement, well, if you go to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 39, has allowed everybody to express his own opinion, all his own views, say what he wants. Well, we cannot stop anybody from expressing his opinion because it's a fundamental human right. It's a fundamental right as enshrined in the Constitution. But if you go to Section 93 of the Electoral Act, it says no one should force another person to vote or to hate another political party. He didn't say intimidate, quite okay, but a person who is highly placed, the person who is highly placed, when he says he's endorsing this one, it's intimidation because, and that will violate the 2022 Electoral Act signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari on the 25th of February, 2022. That's intimidation. We don't require any endorsement. My presidential candidate doesn't require anybody to endorse him. We know where he is coming from. I stated it here earlier. He did very well.
Mr. Elisha, are you suggesting that when religious leaders tell their followers that advising them, saying probably it might be better to vote this way or that way, is that tantamount to intimidation?
No. I'm talking, that is endorsement, is intimidation. a former president endorsing a particular presidential candidate is intimidation. That violates the Electoral Act. The issue of religion is very sensitive in this part of the country, especially in Adamawa State. I am a Christian. I am not a Muslim. And so I cannot, go into that area to say whether it is allowed by that religion or not. But what I said is the question of being a woman or not a woman should not be a yardstick to measure the candidate.
I hear you, but I'm asking because what former president did by endorsement is simply trying to tell people, well, I advise you to vote this way. So when religious leaders tell their followers to advising them to vote in a particular direction, would you describe that as well? Would you say that is also intimidation?
Of course, because that is what is the bane of the society today. The issue of religious, going into politics. People use the religion, to, mislead. Honestly, that is my personal opinion.
Let's get your closing thoughts on this.
And I have no apology for that.
So, Mr. Elisha, for your principle, many haven't, they still wonder if he really is targeting winning and getting 25% in different parts of the country, or is he trying to consolidate in a particular region, hoping that there will be a runoff where he will then be a major factor moving forward?
The objective is to win election at the first round. Our objective is not to say that we're not to get 25% here and there. And you'll be surprised because we talk less, but we act more. And that is because the credentials of my presidential candidate stands him out of all other presidential aspirants or candidates in this particular country. I stated it earlier. I want you, channels, to give me another presidential candidate who will now stand, and you rate him with my own presidential candidate, moving from civil service to the Senate, to the governor, to the defense minister, to an ambassador. He has done a lot.
Okay.
And what he has done in his own
let's
state,
pose that question to Dr. Ado as we wind down. Dr. Ado?
Yeah. Okay, my friend, P.P. Elisha is like Goebbels of Hitler and then Saddam Hussein foreign minister. Even when the troops were being captured by the enemy forces, they were still saying that they were winning the election. He's like this. I've known him for a long period of time. But I also he said he disapproved of my position with regards to women leadership in the state. Now, any democracy that cannot accommodate our culture, our tradition, and our religion, that democracy doesn't fit. It must be able to do so. And in this case, it hasn't. I am a Muslim, and I know the Muslim position on this matter. Very clear.
What is the Muslim position?
The Muslim position on the matter is that leadership, executive leadership, is not for women. It's not. And Islam has given its own reasons. And I have written an article lately in Hausa, the position of women leadership in Islamic history is in the Islamic history. So whatever interpretation any Islamic scholar will give to the Holy Quran or the Hadith, if it is not consistent with the facts of history, that interpretation will definitely be wrong.
Are you saying that there are no Muslim countries where women leaders have emerged?
No, they are. Like, for example, like Pakistan.
Yes.
When the United States, England, and France insisted on putting in Benazir Bhutto, the daughter of late Ali Bhutto, as Pakistani president, the Pakistan ulamas came up with the fatwa that, no, don't do it. But America did it. And she didn't last long. She was taken out, and then they wanted to return her. What happened? She was killed on the streets in Pakistan. So these are facts of history, and they have to be taken into account. And if I go back into history, Islamic history, the Holy Prophet of Islam has died and left his daughter, Fatima. She didn't inherit him. Like Ishaq, Yaqub, inherited their father, Abraham, like Suleiman inherited his father, David.
All right.
So these are facts of history that must have to be taken into account. And Adamawa is a conservative state. And I know we have Muslims and we have Christians, but that the Muslim community is standing very firm on that.
We need to wrap up. Mr. Lasha, in 10 seconds, you want to respond, or we'll let it go? Okay. All right. We need to wrap up at this time. Dr. Umar Ado is the governorship candidate of the SDP in Adamawa. And then Phineas Elisha is the chairman, NNPP, Adamawa State. And incidentally, both of them used to be in PDP, so they're friends. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. We will be back in just a moment. Stay with us.